at the end of the day, what do you want to be most proud of? What matters more? Is it the outcome, right? The things you get, or is it the person that you become on the journey? And as you've talked about the things that you share and what you do, it wasn't about the outcome. That was what you wanted. But what's really interesting is you dedicated and invested in you so you can make sure that no matter what happens, you are going to be proud and create the great person along that journey. The outcome is variable. It changes, it moves, goals move. But your progress and who you were developing with every single day, I think is really the key of why your journey is so successful, when you said. Welcome, affiliated listeners, to another episode of the Affiliated Podcast, where you can see we've got an upgrade. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I could see too much of Kyle's pores. Ignore that for now and enjoy what we're about to have in store for you, which is not only going to be an informative episode, but I think most importantly, an inspiring one. Particularly one that's so important right now because, guys, we're hearing it. We hear a lot of people are going through sometimes either their first challenge or just a challenge in life in general. And there's hope, and there's always hope when you talk to the right people and you know the right mindset and you know what success actually looks like. Success isn't as evasive if you know the path. And once you know the path, you could go on it yourself. And we're going to talk about a really exciting journey today with somebody that is a multi-diamond client. They're incredibly successful affiliate, and they have an amazing journey. And that is Francisco. Oh, and I'm going to make sure I get it said. Is it Valenzuela? I have to see the name to be able to say it. Yeah, Valenzuela. So I want to make sure I get it right in my whiteness, that I don't screw it all up. Francisco, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Good, dude. Well, I'm so excited to have you. And I know we talked a little bit about Diamond, or talked to you a little bit at the last Diamond Summit. I've really wanted to get to know you. I've watched your story that we did, because for those who didn't know, if you haven't seen it, we're going to put this in the show notes. But our marketing team came out to your home, interviewed you, went through a whole thing. It was just really captured this amazing journey that you went on. And that's what we're really going to talk about today. That being said, for the people that don't know, you are an expert when it comes to YouTube. We will have some tidbits and opportunity to share that expertise at the end. So anyone that's interested in YouTube or just wants to know, hey, what's working out there, we're going to have that. But before that, I really want to dial things back a little bit, Francisco. And you have an interesting journey, right? You were on the cusp of university, the traditional path, and you found yourself going somewhere else and going into online marketing things. So what I'd love to do is just turn ourselves back in the time machine and kind of go back. I actually want to go back a little bit further of your life before university. So walk me through kind of what how you found yourself on this path of going to school, what life looked like before you even knew what ClickBank was or this idea of online marketing.
Yeah, so I found out about online marketing at like 16, when I was 16 or 17. And I have a friend in my school that was running like CPA marketing, was doing like mobile installations. That was the first time that I felt like, oh, like there's people that actually can make money. And I was very, very young. So I was like, I don't know, 16, 17, and this guy was making like 9K per month at that time. So that was like the first time that it opens my mind that
And he
you
was
can
16
actually,
too?
yeah, he was like,
Oh,
that's crazy, right? And he
yeah,
was,
yeah,
and it's not 10K like right now, it was 10K like 7 years ago. So it was like
yeah,
different
yeah,
with inflation stuff.
yeah, exactly. It's
So
wild.
that was the first time that I hear about like how to make money online. So I asked about what he does. So he never like I never understood specifically what he does, but he gave me like different skills that I have to learn to do it. For example, like learn Google Ads, learn copywriting, learn how to use WordPress, stuff like that. And that's when I started my journey. I started buying different courses. I went through Amazon FBA, drop shipping, CPA marketing, like retail arbitrage. Uh, I went back and forward with stuff like that. Then I had to get a job to make a little bit of money. Like it's called here when it's Christmas and you go to work in the stores because they have too much like going to the bigger stores. So you go out, help, move the floor, like organize
Yeah,
stuff. Like so
yeah.
that was like my first kind of like job to be able to save money
Mm-hmm.
and have money to invest on different venues like I wanted to have like $1,000 just to buy a course and then have like another 1,000 to invest on ads, and try the actual like business model.
Hmm.
But of course, like never work. I mean, went through all this stuff, but I end up understanding that it was like me jumping from business model to business model. So when I have that realization of like, hey, I'm just gonna focus on one thing. Like I literally say I'm gonna focus on Facebook ads and ClickBank. And I was like having like a walk here in my city, and I have this realization by listening to a podcast. It was very, very good, and I always recommend. The podcast was called A Thousand Days. Okay.
Hmm.
And it was from a big entrepreneur that it's called Andy Frisella, who is a big inspiration for me because he built this huge company, like billion-dollar company. And he has this podcast about like entrepreneurship. So I was listening to this, and the main idea of the podcast was like, what will happen if you like roll out like 1,000 days of your life, like every day, like you roll it out for 1,000 days. If you just focus on one thing, like there is no chance that you haven't done any progress towards your goal. So I thought like, okay, this is where I've been missing. Like I've been jumping. Maybe I've been doing this for like 3, 4 years and I haven't seen any success. But because I've been trying Amazon FBA, retail arbitrage, affiliate marketing in other sort of way. So I went very specific. So how did I did it to actually like start seeing success with affiliate marketing? First was like I have this big realization where I was reading, I was eating well, I was training, I was meditating, that I was doing all the stuff that people like in the internet says that it's good for
Yeah.
you, like
Your
everything
morning
that
ritual was kick ass,
everything
man.
kick
Right?
like
Yeah. Yeah.
every day.
Mhm.
But I remember like one day I was like at my parents' house and I was like everything that I'm doing, it's like what everyone says that I must be doing, but I'm not making money, and I'm trying like every day. I'm trying
Mhm.
every day to find my first winning ad. I'm trying, and it doesn't work. So I felt like that frustration. Like I'm doing
Yeah.
everything on my power, but I like the only thing that it's left over is that I don't have like a successful business, even if I'm trying. So
Mhm.
that's when I started like putting the pieces together, and I was like, I'm just gonna focus on this, like that's moment of like self-reflecting. Like, am
Mhm.
I actually like doing the things that I need to do to be successful in business? Like, I'm reading people, I'm not trying to learn from them, I'm executing like every day. But I was like honest with myself, and I was like, yeah, you've been doing that, but not for so long, you know? Like you've been doing stuff, and you are always going to square one by trying a new business model. So that's when I like that plus the podcast, and then the COVID came, and I was like in university. So I'm sorry to do like the story a little bit
No,
longer.
no,
It's
this is
like,
exactly what I want. And actually, because I'm
yeah,
going to I want to go even deeper on some areas
yeah,
too. So, actually, let's dial back a little because you mentioned some other things. So, um, I want to actually talk a little about that feeling, that frustration, because I think we see this a lot. Because you were doing all the right things, right? You're showing discipline. You're showing that I'm getting my life in order to show that I'm a high functioning individual, as we would
right.
define that. You're doing the processes, physical training, you have
Mm,
martial arts training,
yes,
you're doing mental training, right?
yeah.
You're committed to education. You were by this point in time, you're what year in university? Second
I was
year,
like,
third year,
yeah, first, second year
first,
around that.
second year, right? On paper, you look like what everyone says success
Yeah,
is. Yet the part that many of us don't do, and he said in that podcast, is they don't remember that that's commitment to a much longer journey, right? And you have
right,
to do all the right things before you get the the win in the end.
right.
But I want to go back to that frustration piece. I think a lot of people were in there. Like, what started happening that frustration? Like, because I think a lot of people, they start to point, well, maybe these people that tell me this is what I need to do are wrong. And you didn't necessarily do that. So I want to explore kind of what happened to your head and how you felt as you were doing all these things. You felt like there was a promise that was meant to be delivered, yet you didn't have it. What kind of frustration and who are you mad at in that moment?
Right. Like it's it's a very difficult spot when you are doing your best, like truly your best, and not like saying you're actually trying, and you know that behind closed doors, like you're not doing anything, or you're not doing like everything that you can. And I felt like genuinely that I was doing everything that I can, and even with that, like it wasn't enough, you know. So imagine you try your best and you feel that it's not enough, like that frustrates you, that gives you like negative emotions. You feel like it's not going to work out, you lose faith, you're frustrated with yourself, like you don't know if it's your fault, if you miss a piece of information to actually make it work, when in reality, like it's just the combination of like being consistent enough for a decent amount of time. Because what if you have been trying your best but just for 2 months? It's not enough, you know
Yeah.
it's definitely not enough. And most of the cases, it's not a thing about information, because there is plenty of information, you know of course it's a difficult space. I will always say the same: it's a simple business model, but it's not easy, not because it's simple means that it's easy, it's like any business model. Like if you try any business, if you put a restaurant, if you put like a car dealership, if you put a gym, like even if it's online and or like a real business, like it will come with their own challenges, so in this case, like I was frustrated because I felt that I was doing the things that I needed to do for a decent amount of time, but the part that I was missing was the I was not focusing on one business, So when you don't focus on one business, what happens is that you start from square one or square just two. But if you just laser focus on one stuff, maybe it happened the one on the first year, like you make some traction, you make some sales, like it can happen in 6 months, in 3 months. It depends like your skills level or what you do, or a tiny percentage of luck too. Like when you hit the market, there's stuff that can affect for sure.
Hmm.
But where you to remove that frustration, I feel you need to get your expectations right. Like if you understand that if you do this for enough time, and you do actually your best, like at some point it will happen. Like,
Yeah.
and I know we hear this, like, but it's actually true, like if you actually try for 2 3 years, it's impossible the the model doesn't work for you. If you're learning, if you're actually doing, and if you're staying consistent, like it's just a matter of time. So if you already know that at some point it's going to happen, yeah, I know you have to pay bills and you have to, like, you have your responsibility, like you want it now, but
Hmm.
it's just going to happen if you stay consistent. If you know people are doing, like, it's going to happen for you too. But you got to have that in mind and control everything that you can control. Like if you just take control of like all the things that you can do when it comes to the thoughts that you put on your mind, the things that you're hearing, the things that you're eating, the things that you're putting in your body, the things that you read, like everything that you can control, you remove everything else, the news, the all the shit, like the changes, like everything. But you have everything that you can have under control. That removes all the anxiety. And if you understand the fact that it's gonna take time, you're good to go. Like that's, I feel like, the foundation to be able to actually be successful in this business.
100%. No, 100%. I'm really glad. That's why I want to spend a little. I think that's such a beautiful and perfect way to put it, that control what you can, and that laser focus is how you could take with time, right? Because you do need time. Like you said,
Right.
I
So
think a lot of people luck gets confused for hard work sometimes.
correct.
And when hard work and luck pair together, great results happen. But sometimes that scale might be shorter for somebody because they just had good luck, or something was naturally made sense for them.
Yeah.
But you also see those people, maybe because they didn't learn what you're talking about, it doesn't
They
sustain.
crash. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because they didn't really learn the right habits. And so, whether this is in athletics, a one-hit wonder in music or whatever, and we'll kind of circle back to this, but let's kind of talk a little bit more. I'm going to go back to that journey, bring you back in here. So, real fast question: you're on this journey, you're getting ready to focus. What were you studying in school, by the way, in university?
I think in the US they're calling like business administration.
Okay,
Like here
like
here in
MBA.
Chile. Yeah, but it's a 4 year career
Mm,
where you learn business, you learn
gotcha.
marketing, you learn accounting, you learn economics,
Hmm.
and I feel that when it comes to university, I'm like very opposite to like the mainstream advice entrepreneurship, because I actually like it, and people that are like entrepreneurs, they always say like, and I didn't feel relatable. And also, it was one of those things where, for example, if you are inspired by an entrepreneur, and almost all successful entrepreneurs say, "Hey, yeah, I was C student, blah blah blah. I hate school, and that's why entrepreneurship was my way." Like because they feel inclined. I didn't relate with that because I actually like it. So I was like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
it's not for me. Never thought
Hmm.
that, but I was like, I always have like a strong mindset that anything that I will put in my mind, I'm gonna achieve. But I actually enjoy it. Like I always tell this story, but I was like top three in my whole like just in grade, which is not, it's not like, oh, I'm super proud of that, but it's just to make a point how responsible I was in grades and in university. And I was, if you put like all the students from my year, I was the number two best grade. So it's like, oh, whatever, like for people it doesn't mean anything, but for me it was like, hey, I was putting a lot of effort like to actually have good grades, have a scholarship, everything, plus I was building the business.
Yeah.
So when people say like, oh no, university or like all this stuff,
Yeah.
I was like, go there, learn what you can, do your best. Like it's just a time management. I feel that my number one skill at that point was that I did this challenge, or this yeah, it's 75 hard challenge, more common there in the US. But this same entrepreneur Andy Frisella has this challenge about 75 hard,
Hmm.
which is a program to reframe your mind and build mental toughness. And I did it when I was like in my first year in school. So I was doing 75 hard. I was getting good grades, and I was also like building this online business that I was trying to make money so I can quit that, but I never hated, So I quit on my fourth year. So from the from the first year to my fourth year, I focused 100%, and between that it was COVID, So first year, COVID came, I think at like the end, or like second year, I don't remember.
Hmm.
And I started doing this like concrete gym, and that's where the concrete gym story came. Where
Describe this
yeah,
concrete gym. I heard that in the video, and like
yeah,
instantly, I thought like I had these visions of Muscle Beach, or is like, is he just carrying around blocks of concrete? So I have to like, excuse
I
my like not understanding what a
no.
concrete gym is, but I'm super curious.
No, for sure. So concrete gym, when I talked about that, it was literally we were with my brother, like walking through like this pandemic,
Hmm.
and at some point, we come up with the idea of like we need to train at home.
Hmm.
So when that idea came, we were like, oh, we don't have money to actually buy all the stuff to build a gym. So what do
Yeah.
we do? And sorry for, I was looking at the phone, but I wanted to show you, it was like that.
Oh, that okay. It is. You start making everything out of the oh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
Lit- Literally like, um, so that was the idea came, hey, let's build something, gym equipment to train at home because we don't have money to afford. And when pandemic came, gym closed, price spike, like very,
Yeah.
very high. So after that, like we built this, and then like a guy came here us help build like the racks, to put
Hmm.
like the bar, to do like bench
Yep.
press.
Hmm.
And this guy has out of job. Like after the COVID came, like he didn't have any job. So my first like intention, and my honest intention, was to make a post on Instagram because we built this home gym, and to help him out get job to do the same for other people. So then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, but what if like I buy from him like the stuff and I resell it, and I was like, oh, okay, let's do that. And so he has a job and I make money. So that's
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
started. I did a simple video. We create like an Instagram account. We start selling in our hometown. We have to ask permission to like the government or whatever the regulation of that to go and deliver those
With COVID.
equipment.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So long story short, like I was able to save like 15K with that, and it was one of the. It's like the thing that I'm most proud of it because it was a clear example of like, hey, the situation is not the best. Are you gonna rise or are you gonna get worse? You know.
Hmm.
So what we did with our time was amazing because we were using the time that we had to produce something valuable, to produce something that people can use, to train, to become healthier. We're making money. I'm studying the business and I'm using that money to reinvest in my first campaign. So that was like
Yeah.
the overall story. And as I said, it's one of the things that I'm more proud of because that was the first step and the first stone to build everything that I have been able to do right now, which is um, I don't know, like my first platinum, my first diamond, going there, meeting new people, like learning, building an actual business, now focusing on my personal brand. So that thing, that COVID pandemic was the best thing that can happen to me because I learned so much skills. I learned to really tough my mindset. And from there, like, it's just, I've been trying to improve.
Yeah, that is such a great story. And what's funny is you mentioned before that you hear a lot of these entrepreneurs say, "I can't do school, I can't do this, blah blah blah." And sometimes people think like a skill set of the entrepreneur is somebody that's wildly and unmanaged, right? Which isn't true, right? That's a personality type that might be attracted to entrepreneurship, normally because they can't get jobs elsewhere. But that doesn't mean that entrepreneurs have to be serially unemployable individuals.
Right.
That's an archetype. But what I would tell you this in interviewing lots of entrepreneurs, very successful ones, the one thing that continually I see over and over and over again in the most successful entrepreneurs, you actually exhibited and you just said in that pandemic situation, which when so many people saw adversity, they saw challenges and they saw a loss of hope, you could easily see an opportunity for growth. Through the weeds, you see the diamond, right? You know that you could make something more. And it's very, very simple. You saw, hey, there's a need in the market. We had it ourselves. We solved it, and we other people probably needed this, right? And it's a
Mm,
perfect pairing. You ended up making substantial revenue. And then the great thing is, I'd even argue with your education and where you've been preparing in life, you knew exactly what to do when you had that success to beget more success. So as you go back to mindset, discipline, you said you were doing all those things, you were committing your life to getting the most out of yourself. I think that's really key. It wasn't just, I'm going to school because it's for me. I'm getting things out of that. I'm being disciplined. I'm eating right for me to get the most out of me, that when opportunity came, success was easy for you, right? And then
mm,
you could turn that success into more success because the foundation of success and what makes a great entrepreneur already existed and had been built in you. And I think that's so magical because a lot of people don't always see that, but your story exemplifies it. That's
right.
amazing. So let's go into a little bit. I think you mentioned some things. So you're focusing on Meta specifically, but that's actually not what your traffic source was that led to the
Yeah.
most success. So walk me through a little bit of you're doing Meta, we've kind of got the concrete gym and how you kind of transitioned over to YouTube.
Yeah, so I started on Meta because that was like my first, like when I took the decision of like I'm gonna focus and I'm gonna go very needy, like detail of like what I'm going to do. I told to myself, you're gonna do Meta plus ClickBank products plus supplements. So
Hmm.
like the actual detail.
Super specific.
So
Yeah.
super specific because you need to be like that to actually make progress. You can't say
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm gonna focus on online business. Like, where do I start? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I told to myself it's gonna be Meta. So I start first account restriction, second account restriction, then first sale restriction, out rejection, like everything. And I was like, oh damn, like I don't have the information to know what to do here. Like I'm buying all my family's, all my friends' profiles. Like I don't
Yeah.
have any more people to ask.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
You're
like
like, I have to
start.
make more friends, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was not an option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. You're like, I don't have
Um,
enough time for friends. I
yeah,
already committed so much, right?
exactly. Yeah, like it wasn't part of the plan, so I need to
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
something else. So, um, sorry for the noise.
Oh, that's good, man.
Um, so what we did there was, um, I was afraid to change path because I was
Mhm.
so committed to do like Facebook that any derailing from that was like, I feel that I'm like lying to myself or like quitting on myself. So
Mhm.
I I have an agreement with myself, and I told, hey, you're gonna keep trying the same goal. It's the same goal, but just a different angle. And I started trying YouTube ads. I don't remember how I found out like exactly about that, but probably was a course or someone that I met through a course, and then they introduced me to this YouTube opportunity. And from there, it's when I started seeing my first success, because at that point, there were not many people running YouTube ads, and plus with supplements. So what happened then? So I started seeing my first success. I was part of this beta sale group from Profit Singularity. Everyone
Mhm.
was sharing information. That's where I met like very, very good friend. And it was my first type of like networking, because I was trying, everyone was in the same boat. Like, hey, we're all trying to make YouTube work. So we're sharing information, blah, blah, blah. I was partnered up with another friend, and then found my first winner, invest everything that I could on it. But that's the first step, and that's where, when people think, oh, that's the end goal, when you hit that, you got to be very careful, because that thing can go like that, you know? So you have to build a type of like a skill set to be able to rise and keep winning year after year. Because what happened next, YouTube get tough. There's a gold rush of YouTube. Everyone makes money. Everyone can have their funnel up. Then what happened? You start seeing ad reactions, Google suspension, bad traffic, like every problem that you can think about it start happening, and making YouTube work become difficult. I made a lot of money there. I was able to have a very good run, but then like you have to like that's the thing, like you need to be so good, so strong, and be so disciplined to keep trying new stuff. So it's not gonna last forever. You need to
Yep.
understand that. Like anyone that is like hearing this and wants to start affiliate marketing, want to hit their first winning, you have to know that that campaign at some point is gonna die. Like nothing lasts forever.
Mhm.
So what are you gonna do when the campaign stop working? You need to have a good and strong mindset to be able to overcome that. So I did it. I was very responsible with my money too. Didn't buy anything crazy, I saved everything for the bad times, and started diversifying, learning new stuff, going into Facebook again. Now that I know and that I have more knowledge, more connections, more ideas of how to make it work, I went back to Facebook and I make that work again. So YouTube crushed it, in-stream shorts, whatever, everything very good, good year. It was almost like two years and a half, but then things are getting difficult, and I have to learn what to do next. You know?
Yeah, I love that. Well, I always think the quote in Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. He said, "Enjoy the good times while they're happening because they never last forever." And that's
Yeah,
such a great mindset that I think you said that. I can't imagine how great it felt. You've been just on this journey. You've been so committed. You finally felt like you had it, and you had to go a little bit of a mental leap again to re-angle, but you finally saw the result you
mm,
knew you deserved. That even you were doubting at a time. You'd mentioned before, like, is it me? Is it me? But then he really committed all the discipline, all the hard work. He saw the
exactly.
success, and then to see it stop, like that breaks a lot of people. But knowing that you had
Yeah,
channeled right back before and said, "It's cool. I already knew this was going to happen, and I'm ready. I know I could do
yeah,
hard things, so this is easy."
yeah.
One of the best things I'd heard from really skilled marketer Perry Belcher. He always said that one of the biggest mistake marketers make is their first big win they assume is just going to continue to happen over and over again. He's like, every single time you have a big
Mm,
winner, assume that it'll never happen again. Treat every single one like it's the last time, and treat the money like it's the last time it'll come in. And it's like, and you'll be way more successful if you have that
mm,
mindset. And this is an individual that has had a lot of wins. So I could tell you pretty much everyone that has a lot of wins has that same in some capacity mindset. So I love that. I really love that you
For,
went there.
yeah, I mean, and I wanted to be, I have 3 points to do
Mhm.
right there because first is what this guy was saying, like you were mentioning, like it's hard when you're young, you work your ass and you make it. You know, you
Mhm.
on everyone's terms, you're successful, you know?
Yeah.
So being able to stay humble even when you're winning, I feel was like key to keep winning year after year. Because if I feel that by everyone's standard, I live in a third world country, so people from here like make like the people they expect to finish university and start working. In I was studying one of the best university. You go out, you expect to make 1.2K, 1.5K in your first year, you know. And I was making like I don't know, like 10 times that per day. You know, like I was doing very good. So to be able to keep humble and be like, yeah, this is cool. This is great. I deserve it. Whatever, but this is gonna end and there is people doing better than me. You know, I have very good friends, top affiliates, now vendors, who really inspired me and was key for my success and to keep that level of awareness that yeah I'm doing okay but there is people like crushing it and surround by those people. It helped me a lot because I was always trying to catch them but at the same time I was happy for them, plus it helped me be like you're not that cool, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
like
easy to
you're
be
not
humble
that
when you're the,
yeah,
it's easy to be humble when you're the smallest pocketbook in the room. I get
exactly
that, right?
like you're not amazing, you know, like you it's okay, you know, like and you have to be able to use that like mood in in times, you know, like when we're working, okay, but then when it comes to actually work, I feel that I'm the best. You know, I feel that I will go there, I'm gonna conquer, I'm gonna go to an event, I'm gonna make sure I have the best deals, that they understand that I'm like a good media buyer, you know, and I get in that mindset that I'm a champion, you know, I'm winning, you know, I have all the skill set to win. But then when I'm like in my spot, in my zone, I'm like, this can end soon, so we gotta be careful. We gotta keep learning, keep trying new things, keep understanding, keep talking. You know, all that's good stuff. But that's key. Like when, especially when you're young, because you're people from my age, like really, I felt that they saw me like as a role model. You know, someone they I aspire to do, and I feel honored by that, but I want to learn that thing doesn't crush my ego, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was very important.
How do you keep that? And I think I'm actually really curious about that because I think that's a really delicate balance. You're talking about a very duplicitous mind, right? Like, how
Yeah,
do you have the confidence to be like, I am good, but not that good, right?
right.
I'm the man, but not really. I'm just a man.
Yeah,
And you have people that are constantly telling, because like you said, I'm sure you have a circle of people. You could probably walk out your door and be glazed more than a Krispy Kreme donut, man. Like you'd have people to just be so stoked to tell you how awesome you
uh,
are, yet at the
yeah,
same time
exactly.
you need to keep hungry. So how do you kind of balance that and keep that mindset of every day it's discipline and humility, but then flip the switch to confidence when you need it,
Right.
because
I
you can't be
feel
too humble,
some
right?
exactly. You can be, oh no, I'm not the big thing, you know, because you know, like when the difficult times comes, like you're dead, you know. So I
Mhm.
feel like the thing was the to have that confidence on me, and don't get me wrong, because even if I've been winning, you know, or I've been able to maintain here being like relevant, top affiliate, whatever, rising. Um, I always have moments where I feel like, oh, it was actually luck, or am I good? You know,
Mhm.
like I feel everyone has it, or if they don't, like they're lying, because I
Yeah.
feel even the most successful people have these moments where they're not truly confident or they're thinking, oh, maybe I got lucky. you know. But then you remember your previous wins, and you can like have, and this is like something from David Goggins' book that I learned, where he has like a stack of like cookies. When he need it, he go there and revisit his previous wins to make sure like he understand how far he have come and have that fuel, you know, to keep going, you know. So it's always important to remember. So when I feel down, it's like, hey, but like you start in 2020 from nothing, you know, you hit your first win, then you hit it again, and after year you start diversifying. Like you need to understand those, but to be able to have that confidence, I feel it's very important to like, and as Andy Frisella said, you have to pay your dues, you know, and I do that every day. Every day I wake up, every day from Monday to Monday, and I get in this same place for hours, working, planning, thinking, what is my next step? What can I do better? What can I test next? How can I build a better team? How can I have people there in different business so I don't depend only on this? Then I have my personal brand. Then I have a car dealership. So I start diversifying, because it's not only about like hitting your first win or your first campaign. That's the first step, you know? So I sit here, I do the work, and that gives me confidence, because even if I'm not this day I'm winning, I know that the stack of like my 3,000 days that I've been working
Hmm.
will back up everything that I have built. And how to stay humble, because you need to understand that this is not going to last forever, and the bad times are coming, and then there is people doing better than you. Only with those two things, you know, hey, you're not the number one in the world, you know. Yeah, maybe you're
Yeah.
the number one in your city, but that doesn't mean that like that you don't have room to learn. You know, if you stop learning, that's when failure is going to catch you up, you know.
Yep.
So
If you're not learning, you're dying, right? That's it.
yeah.
That's what I was trying to tell my kids. Because it's, to me, it's progress. At least, even if it's not progress, just learning is living. To me. So, well, that's amazing. I want to bring something else in a little bit here. That you mentioned and you saw in your video, and it really stood out to me. Is that, well, you're training a lot of Muay Thai, so doing martial arts. I'm curious, and you mentioned that before. Hey, I was doing training, so it sounds like you've been doing training for quite a long time. Can you talk to me a little about how you feel your Muay Thai training has helped you as an entrepreneur, or if you channel anything from that exercise of combat, and bringing it into this world of entrepreneurship?
I feel, yeah. So I think that's when it comes to confidence, like a portion, you know, it's not like everything, you know, but it's one of the things that has helped me. I have tried Muay Thai and boxing. Like right
Mhm.
now, for example, I'm boxing only, but the first reason where I started was I was so stuck into this routine of working like 15 hours per day, sitting here and doing, and I wanted to try something new, you know? So that's when it came. But the second biggest reason was that I wanted to feel, and that's like the dark side of like Francisco or whatever, but you want to feel dangerous. Like you want to feel that in a street fight you can fight. If you want to defend, like, and that gives you like two emotions. One is like, since you already know that you can use it, you are more like relaxed or chill, you know? But at the same time, it gives you a different boost of confidence that, for example, gym training doesn't give you, because you're not training, you're becoming a weapon if you're very good. I'm not saying I am John Jones, you know, but like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
not
probably
Canelo
better.
yet, right?
No, not Canelo yet, you know, but probably can fight better than, I don't know, like 90% of people, you know,
Hmm.
because of your, like, not too many people practice, you know. So if you're whatever, you have a problem with something, you have that confidence that you're not actually big, you know, like, or strong in the gym, but you actually know how to throw a punch, you are aware of the situation, you can defend yourself, and if you need it, like, you can have some serious damage, you know. So I
Yeah.
feel it helps you a lot, especially if you're a man, um, to feel that way, to feel powerful, to feel, because what if you are like just successful in business, or you're just an affiliate, or you like, it gives you another way of like flowing. Especially for me, I need it because I was super young going to this event. I remember when I went to Costa Rica, it was
Mhm.
my first event. I think I was like the youngest affiliate on that event,
How old were
so
you when that first Platinum Summit?
I was like 22. I
Man, you
think
could just barely drink. Look at that. That's
I
yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty
Uh,
young. Yeah.
People didn't allow me to drink actually,
uh,
especially the ClickBank people. No, no.
man, well, I love one thing
Yeah,
you said there too. I think a correlation there like is like you want to feel confident and dangerous in a time that it is dangerous, right? Like I want to feel confident and calm in dangerous moments. And what's interesting, I think entrepreneurs, you talk about the skill sets of a marketer when you're young and early and you're hungry and starving. The great thing is what you need to remember as you go back and you stack those wins. That's the reminder that you're dangerous in challenging times, right? Through
right.
business you
Mm,
could still be dangerous. You have the skills so you could feel calm in moments of chaos, which I think is one of the
right,
most brilliant things about martial arts. It allows you to feel calm in moments
right.
of chaos.
Exactly.
And I could see how that reflects in your business as well. So that's really awesome. That actually transitions to the other thing I want to talk about. And you've mentioned this multiple times too, is community and going to events. You even talked about Profit Singularity. Shout out to Mark Lee and Chris Reeder, Gary and Rob and all those guys doing great stuff. Keegan, don't want to forget about all the
No,
guys behind that awesome course.
number one
Yeah,
person in
yeah,
the planet.
yeah. Keegan's great. So,
Yeah,
so like, talk to me a little about how valuable community has been on your journey, particularly even like that first event and meeting these people in person. Like,
for
how does
sure.
that
Yeah,
changed and
and
helped your journey?
yeah, for sure. And this is not paid promotion for ClickBank, but actually, like,
But it is for me. Don't
but
worry.
no, but to be honest, like right now, like I've been doing this for quite a bit of time, but actually, that like first event was like the reason why I was able to keep rising year after year because the people that I met there, I met so good friends. Like it was an amazing dynamic. Like I remember being, and we were like six or seven, like YouTube affiliates just started crushing it. Vendors were like um, looking for us, like they needed traffic, so they were like, "Oh, who are these people?" Or that's how I felt. Remember, everyone was like in a table, and it was. I met so many great people from the affiliate space that I'm still friends at this moment. Like
Mhm.
Costa Rica was like amazing. Then what was next? Mexico, I think. Yeah,
Mexico, yeah.
Mexico. What was next? Diamond this last year
Hmm.
was good, more close, But that
Hmm.
event was different because it was the first one. So right now,
Hmm.
if you ask me, I'm not very into networking. Like I'm
Hmm.
very focused on my stuff. Like I know my people. You don't need like 100 different friends. Like I know like my my army. And that's good enough for me. But the first one is like what opened up all the doors for the industry because all these people that I met online, where we were like kind of like doing like a little power sell for YouTube. Now I met them in person. Very good relationship. Learn a lot. Like a whole as a group was more powerful than one person, so help us like negotiate better stuff. I don't know, like just imagine
Yeah.
like having 6 7 different affiliates that are doing the same, like share information and actually like saying, hey, this is working, you should try this. Like it was very powerful, very very
Yeah.
powerful. And
Yeah. Yeah, community, right? Not to I imagine not to feel alone. Like, let me ask you, like when you first
um,
found even the Profit Singularity group and you started just talking to these guys online, because prior to that, you'd had your friend when you were 16 that was making money online,
yeah,
but you were going through these journeys. And I didn't hear, and I'm not sure if it did exist. You didn't mention anything about other people, but it was with YouTube. That was kind of the first time that you mentioned a community. Like, how did that make you feel the first time you found other people that maybe talked like you, so at least were
right.
thinking the same things. They were doing some of the same things. What did that feel like the first time you found that?
I feel it's like one of those times where you can like sit for hours talking about something you're super passionate about and that they will understand. Like they will understand what you're going through. One of my two biggest friends were young as me, that we met in Vegas in one event. So it was like one of those times where you're, yeah, I can actually like the because if I have a friend from college where I'm like, oh yeah, my biggest problem is that I did like X amount of money today and I'm super mad, and they're like, like they don't understand you at that point
Mhm.
because it's like a different you're struggling with different stuff. So when you actually find people that are doing the same, it's like, oh yeah, does it happen the same to you with your friends? Like, oh, have you seen this? Like, you have more things in common. But at the same time, more like in a personal level, like personality, there's different cultures, the different. So you connect 100% on that point of like the business level, and you understand. So you have a lot to talk about that, but also like then you have your friends where they love you for forever. You have your family, and so it's a different type of relationship.
Yeah.
So I felt the difference was I just felt more like understood, and that I can openly share what my real struggles are at that time, like of course.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's key to not feel crazy as an online entrepreneur and find other people speaking the same language and not feeling isolated. I could tell you this, we have seen more times than not, I've studied it. And even before I worked at ClickBank, success tends to happen in clusters of people that find each other, because I think that community is really key. And if we even tie that back to martial arts, you're talking Muay Thai, talking boxing, gyms and gym culture, I think the value is it's kind of crazy to do martial arts, to get hit in the face and hit other people,
right.
right? It's a little bit different, but you find other
Mm,
people that connect with that and not feel crazy. Now you get to go to another level because you can move past explaining to the other people and trying to get them to understand what they won't.
right.
That's been removed, right? We all get it. Now we get to ascend more. And you could still keep those same relationships. If anything, it strengthens all the other relationships in your life because you could go be seen in another group. And I think that's really powerful. And I love how you put that. So
Yeah.
um and obviously transition quite big for you into things afterwards. So one thing I want to talk a little bit about tactics here too now as we transition. And first, before we do that, I just want to kind of summarize some things that you said here in your journey that I think is really powerful. One of the big ones, obviously, you mentioned community, you mentioned termination, but just to kind of sum it up, I don't know if you're an MMA guy at all, Francisco, but they had a big fighter had his retirement fight this past weekend named Dustin Poirier, and I was listening to an interview with him, and that you're what you're talking about, this just really resonates and just really kind of I want to bring it in. But he talked about this quote, and he never hit a championship, right? Like never had undisputed, but is beloved by so many people. And one of the things that he always talked about is like, at the end of the day, what do you want to be most proud of? What matters more? Is it the outcome, like right, the things you get, or is it the person that you become on the journey? And as you've talked about the things that you
Mm,
share and what you do, it wasn't about the outcome. That was what you wanted. But what's really interesting is you dedicated and invested in you so you could make sure that no matter what happens, you are going to be proud and create the great person along that journey. The outcome is
mm,
variable. It changes, it moves, goals move, but your progress and who you were developing with every single day, I think is really the key of why your journey is so successful. When you said, and I hope other people could understand that and hear that too. And curious what you think when you hear that quote, right? Like what's more important, the outcome or who you become on the journey? Kind of what that means to you is what we shared today. Cause that's kind of what I'm hearing is you share all this stuff.
yeah, and I feel if you just bring it up to like the affiliate context, it's like people who hit one campaign as a by I don't know, it could be like different reasons, timing, finding a funnel that it's working and doing something similar, whatever. But why I say that I was so proud about the gym stuff, like the concrete stuff, is because if that didn't happen, like I wouldn't have built that mindset of like being able to like push through those times. If I launched my first campaign and hit it, I wouldn't learn anything, because you learn on the tough times, you learn in the difficult moments. So, and I know like this message is kind of like, yeah, like you're coming, like if you're an affiliate or trying to, if you're listening to this, you will be like, yeah, give me the tactics, give me like the strategy, give me whatever it's working for you right now. But at the end of the day, yeah, you can know that, but if you don't have the rest, like everything's gonna fall apart.
Yep.
So that's why I'm so grateful of the things that happened to me especially on like how hard it was to actually find a winning campaign, how hard it was to like all those years like working, like buying stuff from China here and reselling them, like stuff like that, just to make $1,000 to save and buy a course, like all that process, which was very long. It was like 5 years or 6 years until I found my winning campaign. When that actually hit, I was like, okay, I really value this. Like I deserve it, but I also value, and I'm so proud of like who I became from the values that my family has like give to me, like everything perfect storm. Like from not coming from money, like to COVID, like all that stuff is there for a reason, and for me is it's why I'm like Francisco, you know. That's why like it's my
Yeah.
story, you know. So that's why everything is perfect for me, you know. Everything that has happened just is perfect.
It's a great one, man. It's a great experience. It's like awesome. It's like I'm on fire right now. I'm ready to go out and start whatever I need. Just
Start Kung
good
Fu
way to
Gym.
start your day. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I am. I'm gonna go start shaping some concrete now, right?
yeah.
So,
Doing
no,
Muay
this is
Thai.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's a. We'll talk about that some other next time we're in person. We're gonna talk
You're
some
right.
some boxing and Muay Thai,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
but with that, so let's kind of transition as we do. I did promise the people we got to follow a bit of the
right.
promises, some
Yeah,
of the tactics, but
for sure.
I think I'm really glad you mentioned right off the bat there that hey, we could people ask for this, but what's more important is what you just shared. So anyone out there that feels like they need to unlock or break something, first listen to the first part of this episode, pause before you get to this point, go back and listen to it again, because I think it's really, really important that you need to check your mindset and ask yourself, am I doing everything just like you had to ask yourself? Am I doing everything I can within my control to invite success? And if the answer isn't completely yes, great. You have something to work on before you go a tactic, before you try and find a trick, because success will just never be worth it if you don't earn it. Right. So,
Right.
with that being said, YouTube, Meta, traffic in general right now, there's a lot going on. I like to call it shifting season. We are in shifting season. It's for pandemic was shifting season for some people in a very positive way. And right now we're seeing, again, some shifting seasons that's very positive for some people, but just like then, it's also negative for others. So whether that could be seen as an opportunity of a concrete gym, others might see it as a death nail. You, I know, are on the other side because you have already established that. So what is the concrete gym for you right now in life or in YouTube and Meta that you're seeing with some tactics or strategies that you're having some success with?
Okay. So 100% like things are more difficult than before. Like every time there is an opportunity and everyone comes in, it just get harder, you know, and
Yep.
it's never getting easier. You have to understand that like everyone that it's saying like, oh yeah, like making money in affiliate marketing is like just turning on a campaign. That's not reality. Like everyone knows, and you're gonna find it yourself like if you try. So what we need to do, I feel like right now, it's when it comes, I always focus like on the main two platforms, but there is like secondary traffic sources that are on top. So you have to be that guy that is like testing those different platforms. When I talk about Newsbreak, Snapchat, like different stuff that people are not commonly talking about, that can give you a leverage to find stuff that like before it's already blown up by everyone. Like affiliates
Mhm.
are quick. If there is one thing that is working, they're going to go there, test all the verticals, find their winners, and explode it. So that's one thing. If you ask me, Facebook versus YouTube, everyone is like, where do I start? Where do I focus? For me, I prefer to do Facebook right now and build a solid infrastructure of ad account to be able to do my job, which is test. If you if it's YouTube, like the people they are able to unlock a campaign that spends, they actually like can overcome the limitations, the policies, they will rise, they will make money. But reality right now, 24th of July, I found it very difficult, especially for someone who is starting out. Even if I
Mhm.
have a good amount of knowledge, I wouldn't focus on YouTube right now, and especially starting out. Like, you need to know things, you need to have more assets, you need to understand better, and you're gonna be in phase of more challenges, you know. So
And it's a bit more expensive to get started on than Meta too, just the way the budgets seem to work from my understanding, right?
from Meta or YouTube?
YouTube, like YouTube,
YouTube,
you're gonna
it's
have a little
yeah,
bit more upfront cost
right.
to
You
it.
can, yeah, and also you gotta. I think there's more like a learning phase with the campaigns. Like, you have to be
Mhm.
willing to spend more to optimize. So if you ask me, like, I will. If you're starting out or you're an advanced affiliate, I mean, I feel Facebook is gonna just more stable right now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Google is very restrictive, you know. And when it comes
And
to the other platforms, and sorry to interrupt, but like,
oh, no, no, go
I'm
ahead.
talking about supplements. But yeah,
Mhm.
if anyone like also has connections and like also for lead gen and pay per call offers, like, YouTube is like, I feel the more strong. But for supplements, I feel Facebook is like the way to go right now because you can get along with more stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Now, one thing I just want to say, I like that you said, "Hey, you should just pick on this big one," even though you mentioned, kind of like always looking for those next blue oceans. Where's the place that hidden value happens to be? Now, I think one thing that I was curious about because I feel like for new people, what you're saying is stick to meta, but if you're a little bit more advanced because you already have the skill sets, that's the time to start expanding to
Right,
other
right.
channels and other ones. So for the more advanced affiliates out there, are there any kind of, we'll call them like auxiliary or different networks or channels out there that you have been kind of putting a sprinkle on and saying, oh, this is kind of nice. Not that we want to send a swell over there and take away your blue ocean, but is there
Right.
anything that's a little bit exciting? And I'm curious to learn a little bit why that channel's been working for you, you think?
I feel one of those is Newsbreak. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a huge platform that you, you it's small, but you can also do like big volume there. And for Facebook, I feel like Facebook is always gonna be like the main sources, you know, like,
Yeah.
you can try there and maybe have like a slower start and actually make good money, a good ROI. But at the end of the day, like, if you want to scale high, that's like my 80/20. It's gonna be on Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I can spend like 50K a day there
Mm-hmm.
and plus, you know.
Yeah.
So the thing with that I've been noticing is that sometimes when you start a campaign, um, the pixel like struggles a little bit more to find the actual audience. So, and this is going to be a little bit more advanced, which I feel people can get value out of it. But I've been noticing every every good affiliate knows that broad is the way to go. Like, if you want to scale like broad, whatever, chat scale 30 plus, and that's it. But I have been seeing good results at the start by running um, interest targeting campaigns. So putting a lot of targeting,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I something to help the algorithm getting the right customer. And I think anyone that is running Facebook should use bid caps. You know, that's something that I learned from the Legion space, and I started implementing on the supplements. And I don't know if it's too common on big affiliates. I know in the Legion space it is, and it's nothing like, oh, like you find like the secret weapon or you, no. But if you actually, it's like if you're running on YouTube and you're targeting max conversion versus target TPA.
Mm-hmm.
I always run target TPA on YouTube, you know. But then
Yeah.
on Facebook, I used to run only highest volume. So when you put throw like a ceiling to how much a conversion can cost on Facebook, it actually, like, I have seen like 40-50% decrease on the CPA
Mm.
just by changing that campaign strategy, you know?
Wow.
So that's something that people can try and implement. Also, I will really encourage you to try like CDOs, lifetime budgets. Like, it get to a point where you have to try every single every single tweet and switch on the platform to see what works more stable for you, you
Hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
when it comes to that, it's, yeah, and just
Yeah. It's your
leveraging AI.
it's a bit of your
Yeah.
style sometimes, right? You got to
Yeah.
figure out your style of
Exactly.
media buying, right? So,
Exactly.
actually, one thing that I just want to, I'm going to get one more thing out of the and go because we really appreciate your time. This has been amazing, Francisco. Just inspiring, informative, really, really fantastic. I've enjoyed every bit of it. Definitely better than a cup of coffee in the morning. It's been great. But I'm curious because testing is something that I think is underutilized, or it's something that we're seeing, especially, and you mentioned with AI, testing is becoming something that if you aren't doing it, but not only not doing it, but doing it in mass volume, you're really missing out. So walk me through, is there anything you could share kind of about maybe either your methodology or how do you go about testing in your business with your ads, with campaigns, with traffic sources? Just maybe share a little bit about
Yeah.
your
So
superpowers in testing.
I like Creatify,
Okay.
and I like to test like almost all my videos are with AI,
Hmm.
and that gives me the leverage of like testing different hooks with uh like fast, like you don't need to have B-roll, pay an actor, of course, and everyone understand that. But maybe for someone that is starting out, like it's not like that common sense. But my way of testing is like actually I want to have a correlation and a good reference comparing different creatives. And what I mean by that is like I need two ad groups, and Facebook. I need two ad groups to know where should I focus. On one ad groups, I'm gonna put three different videos, and in the other one, I'm gonna put three different images because that way I can learn where put my attention. If I only launch 115, for example, when I have five hooks, I'm saying like, hey, like this is a winning body, which you don't know yet, you know? So the point that I'm trying to do here is like, what if you do one horizontal version, one long video, and one short video? You will have three different um, points of KPIs to analyze to be able to tell, hey, horizontal is working better. I didn't expect that. Hey, like images CPC is way lower than the videos, but the initiate checkouts are shit. Like stuff like that. Because when you have your money, you want to get the most out of it. So as
Hmm.
a strategic like person, you want to get and use your money properly to get the most information out of it. What if you spend $1,000 in five variations where the only difference is the hook? You will never know if that body structure performs different than a short one, than a
Hmm.
square one, than a medium one. So three, long, short, medium.
Yeah.
Short 60 seconds, long 3 minutes plus, medium 1 to 2 minutes. So if you do that, your $600 that you spend on testing, compared with images with three different angles, kitchen stuff, weird whatever, person before and after, like three different concepts, then you will have your money spread in so many stuff that now you're getting closer to, or at least you know where to put your attention. Oh, it's on horizontal, it's on images versus video, it's on long versus short, it's on horizontal
Yeah.
versus, that's
Yeah, it's a way to diversify very broad at the beginning across various ad types,
right,
along with creatives. So you just get more learning. Like you said, if you're going to put $600 towards learning, you might as well learn a lot, right? So it gives you a really good idea. So then when you go to scale, you're scaling in the right direction. Versus if you're a little bit too narrow when you start out, you might be in the wrong spot and lose out on a campaign because
right,
you just didn't look at it enough. So that's
exactly,
great advice. I really like that. That's
yeah.
awesome. So well, hey, we've kept you for longer than we even said we would, so I really appreciate you going a little bit long. Now, Francisco, I know you mentioned you're starting up your YouTube channel again. I'm sure there's some people that will want to get a hold of you, especially if there's vendors that might be listening right now. Go, holy cow! How does Francisco test my offer? How can I get in contact with them? What are some ways that people could engage with you if they'd like to? We don't want everyone hitting you up. But what are some ways that people could follow you if they want?
Yeah, so I don't know how, like I feel most people here are on English, but I have two YouTube channels. For a Spanish person, I have Francisco Valenzuela en español, and on English I have Francisco Valenzuela, and on Instagram, Pancho Val. You can guys type it later, or you guys will find it out anyway.
We'll get in the show description.
Yeah,
So
you can
yeah,
you can chat GPT it.
yeah, there
So
you go.
and yeah, like I've been focusing on Spanish, but I have big news coming, and so stay tuned on English. Okay,
Ooh, yeah, guys, pay attention. Then you got to go
paying attention.
follow now so you can see that. We don't want you missing out on the big announcement. So again,
Exactly.
Francisco, really appreciate your time. This was amazing. This was just a fantastic. Just fantastic. I should have better platitudes to say about it. Merely say that I hope this is an episode that people don't listen to once, because the first part of this, I think, should be more of a Bible, a gospel towards entrepreneurship to not only inspire, but inform for everyone to find their own journey so they can make sure that. I think the one thing the entrepreneurship, as I've seen in you and seen so many successful people, that always represents is an opportunity to get the most out of yourself. And you never lose if you're on a journey where you're extracting the most out of yourself every single day. So with that, please rate, review, subscribe, people. Do all the things. Email us at affiliated@clickbank.com with any sort of whatever's questions you might have, feedback. Even if you need help, there's some times that we definitely, Thomas and I will reach out and want to help you guys, because we really appreciate your time, your listens, and most importantly, the fact that you're here, you're trying, and you're doing something more. Francisco, you're amazing. Can't wait to see you soon, hopefully New York, or who knows, whatever the next event might be. But until next time, guys, as Thomas would say, happy scaling, but I'll just say be safe out there. Thank you.